Welcome to FamilyWatch, where we bring you meaningful Catholic conversations on marriage, parenting, and family life. Ako po si Carmela Mendoza, Landicho, a youth formation advocate and educator. At Family Watch, we believe that the path to the renewal of society and the transformation of the church begins in and through the family by strengthening marriages, empowering parents, and bringing families closer to Christ. Welcome po to episode 63. Um, Studies have revealed that the pandemic has taken a toll on everyone's mental health, including women. The combined pressure of job loss and family responsibilities have increased stress. Juggling family responsibilities is a source of stress for both women who are in the workforce and those who are not, and those who are at home. Kaya nag-imbita tayo ngayon ng isang resource person para tulungan tayo sa usaping women and stress at work. Our guest has over 30 years of experience in human resource management. In her last job in MBTC Technology, the former IT company of Metrobank, she held the position of Vice President for Human Resource Management. She is a lecturer at the John Gokongwei School of Management of the Ateneo de Manila University and a human resource consultant and organization development practitioner. Welcome to Family Watch, Miss Marijo Caronongan.
Hi
Hello.
everyone. I'm so impressed. This is already the 63rd episode.
Yes,
Para itong K-drama, no?
yes,
I
tuloy-tuloy
know,
lang.
I know
Going.
you have a lot of viewers in
Yes,
Family Watch.
and hopefully it's really helping, especially the parents, the educators who have tuned in since episode 1, di ba? And tuloy-tuloy kahit patapos na nga yata yung pandemic, itutuloy-tuloy natin to. Yan, with a lot of other topics. So if they have suggestions or viewers, you can actually suggest other topics na gusto ninyong makover in the series. Yeah, in the K-drama series. Ayan. Pero so Miss Marijo, simulan na po natin. Ayan. We always hear the term di ba? Ay nako, stressed ako or nakaka-stress. Ganyan. What is stress? Ano ba talaga yung stress, di ba? Like, clear definition of it. Tapos, ano ba yung mga common misconceptions with regard to
With
stress?
regard to stress. Okay, when you talk of stress kasi, you are stressed when you feel that you're not able to cope with a certain situation. So that's the general meaning of stress. But when we translate this to the work in the workplace, for example, job stress would mean that an employee feels that he is not able or cannot do his work because he doesn't have the capability to do it, or if he doesn't have the resources to do it. So that's job stress naman. And then when it comes to misconception, kasi maraming nagsasabi, di ba, if you're stressed, that's bad. Di ba?
Yes.
But there's a good kind of stress and there is a bad kind of stress. Yung tinatawag natin good kind of stress is called eustress. Okay, paano ba eustress? And when you talk of eustress, a person would welcome the challenge given to him or her. And that makes the person excited. Yan ang eustress. Hindi ka makatulog dahil excited ka sa gagawin mo. Okay. Pagdating naman sa distress, ayaw mong gawin yung pinapagawa mo, for example, sa trabaho. Kasi feeling mo you cannot do it. So that's the bad kind of stress. And it can also make you like lose your appetite, or for example, you spend sleepless night worrying if you can do the work given to you. So those are two kinds of stress. Eustress and distress. So hindi lahat ng stress masama or it's not exactly bad. There's also the good kind of stress.
Okay. For example, pwede bang yung stressor, yung pinanggagalingan ng stress, it's the same thing, pero sa tao, tama ba yung pagkakaintindi ko na sa tao mismo, yung nakaka-receive ng stress, depende sa kanya kung stress ito or ano yung isa, distress?
Distress. Oo,
Distress.
okay.
Distress.
Distress.
Okay.
Oo. Oh, yes, yes. Oh,
Is
you're
it a
correct there,
subjective,
Carmela.
di ba? Like, a subjective,
Yes.
di ba, receiving the stress, depende kung ma-motivate ka or ma-demotivate ka, mas
Yes.
malungkot ka pa kasi,
Oo.
or parang feeling mo
Kasi,
pagod
oo,
ka.
kasi it also depends, Carmela. There's this type of personality. If you're type A,
Mhm.
you welcome the challenge. Yung stress na binibigay sa'yo makes you motivated to work. And then if you're the type din naman na tahimik ka, ayaw mo ng conflict, then when you're given like a work that for you is beyond your capability, then that makes you stressed. And kaya that gives you the bad type of stress. So type A welcomes stress. The type A personality or person welcomes stress. Type B naman would shun stress.
Mm.
Yun yan.
So, kailangan may self-discovery din pala dito, no? Parang, kung ano bang type ng personality ko at, di ba, ano bang, how do I look at, things around. Okay. So,
So
sana nakakatulong sa,
so for example, Carmela, if you have high esteem,
yes.
you're very confident. You have high level of self confidence. Then that would mean you welcome stress. Yung challenges, problems given to you, you welcome that. Kasi yun nagbibigay sa'yo ng adrenaline rush. Pero yung if you're type B, you will shun, as what I mentioned earlier. Kasi you don't have really enough self-confidence. Hindi mo alam kung kaya mong gawin yon.
Mm-mm. Okay. Okay. So, ayan just to clarify, di ba, misconceptions, not all stress is bad. Yan. So, depende rin pala yan. Okay. So, now let's move on to our next question. What are the common sources of stress? Saan ba nanggagaling yung mga stress usually ng mga tao? Based on your experience also as a HR practitioner, ano yung mga usual like complaints or feedback ng mga tao, di ba, sa workforce?
Okay, so when we talk about stressors at work, so let's just confine our conversation with regard to stressors at work. Okay, nangyayari to yung role conflict and role ambiguity. Hindi mo alam kung yung pinapagawa sa'yo is part of your job description. So there's really role ambiguity there. Especially, Carmela, kung ikaw yung favorite ng boss mo. Diba? Lahat ipapagawa sa'yo. So ikaw magtatanong, ano ba talaga ang role ko dito? Hindi naman to part ng job description ko, pero binibigay sa akin. So there's role ambiguity. Yung role conflict naman, yung nagtuturoan sa opisina, nung ako yung nagtatrabaho kasi HR, I was handling HR. And my best friend, when I say best friend, it's the opposite. I am finance manager. Kasi ang finance manager, palagi sinasabi, trabaho yan ng HR. Tapos ang HR ang sinasabi, ay hindi, trabaho yan ng finance. So ngayon, nagkakaroon ng conflict at work. So that's one stressor at work. Another one is work overload. Di ba, most especially na nung nag-work from home, akala ng mga tao, gumaan yung trabaho nila. Ang nangyari, mas maraming binigay na trabaho sa kanila kasi ang mga bosses, they think that, this guy is not doing anything at home, so we might as well give him a lot of work. So when you talk of work overload, this can be two things. One is sa dami ng trabahong tinatambak sa isang empleyado. That's one. The quantity, in other words. And then the second kind of work overload is more on quality. if an employee thinks that the work given to him or her is complex and he or she cannot handle that, then that becomes what they call this, a stressor. And then we also talk about occupation, di ba? Nung pandemic, the kind of occupation that you handle can also be a stressor. Like, if you're a nurse or a doctor or you work in the hospital, you're a healthcare worker, then that can also be a stressor. Okay? And then there's a lot of things like um, we also talk about job insecurity ngayon na, di ba, after the pandemic, hopefully the economy is able to
Catch up. Ano
catch
na,
up, right? Pero di ba,
improve.
that brought about a lot of insecurity
Yes.
among employees. So that's also a main cause of stress. And one thing also, there are also bosses who they micromanage. So ang boss, ang stressor ng empleyado. So maski na sabihin mo work from home, palaging kinukulit ang mga empleyado that, you have to be online at 8 o'clock in the
Yes.
morning and you have to be there in front of your laptop or your computer
No
until
excuses
9.
now, no? You're already, yeah, with the internet, with your
Yes,
phone, pwede kang i-contact 24/7.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So yun. So those are the main stressors in the office. Yeah. At home,
Okay.
when you talk
Yes.
naman about, I guess you, Carmela, can relate, but at home, like if you're working from home, your attention is divided between,
Mm-mm.
yung work that you have to do at home, yung household chores mo, at saka yung dapat mong gawin sa opisina. So that's also
Yeah, I hear a lot of stories of working moms, 'di ba? Na talagang tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung office work nila, work from home, pero dumoble yata yung or trumiple yung mga kailangang gawin kasi yan, you have to manage the household and then yung mga online schooling din ng mga anak daw nila.
yes, that's true.
Sila pa rin. Di ba? Parang they really had to like divide themselves to accomplish these tasks eh. So
Kaya it
yeah.
becomes more stressful to women
Mm-mm. Yes.
because they do multiple roles as what you've mentioned. Yes.
Sa ano po, balik tayo dun sa in the corporate setting. 'Di ba you mentioned na you used to work in the field of HR and then like specifically for women kasi yun yung topic natin ngayon eh, women and stress at work, 'di ba? Parang the things that you mentioned kanina applicable po yan for all eh, 'di ba? Yung workload and then yung micromanage ng boss and all of these things, 'di ba? But are there specific like additional stressors are there additional stressors na specifically for women, 'di ba? Parang meron bang mga like ibang like fact baka nga medyo maging touchy to sensitive eh yung mga ano, 'di ba? Are there some additional things na only the women experience in the
Yeah,
workplace?
so apologies to the men who are watching or listening
Of
to
course, we're not,
us.
yan, but just to clarify, hindi naman natin, di ba? Hindi naman to, this is a discussion. This is just, this is just a conversation, di ba? Hindi naman natin nilalahat. Walang ganit, hindi yun yung point eh. But at least lang kasi baka there are some viewers, di ba, who may be experiencing these things, akala nila, ay, hindi to issue, akin lang to eh. Yun pala, di ba? Baka kasi, it's a thing na kailangang ma-resolve or it's a problem talaga na kailangan ma-solve. So, kayo po, since kayo yung talagang you were working in the field, go.
Kasi there are common stereotypes applied to women. And I experienced this when I was still working for a multinational shipping company and our office was, male dominated. So kawawa kami mga babae. So what are the common stereotypes applied to women? Sabi nila, di ba, babae ka lang. You know, you're dependent, you're passive, you're not competitive, you're not ambitious, you're not confident. And because of these stereotypes, then women are not really given the chance to, I'm not generalizing, but there are offices or companies that don't really give women the opportunity to grow in the organization. In other words, they're not given meaningful jobs and they do not exactly get promoted as fast as the male employees in the company. So that really adds to the stress experienced by women at the workplace. Yung na ako naiinis pag sinasabi, ay hindi niya yung kayang gawin kasi babae lang yan. We women, if you're gonna ask me, are even kabayas ako kasi babae ako, no? But we can also handle a lot of challenges at work.
Okay. Lalo na ito, I mean, I think you're talking about a corporate setting, no? So, hindi naman siya, like, understandable if talagang, like physical, manual labor, sige, let's give it to the men. Baka mas maraming lalaki ang may kaya niyan. Pero yung ganitong, diba, even level playing fields sana.
That's right. We level, di ba, the playing field. And mind you, Carmela, we women are able to cope with stress better than men. Again, my apologies to my to our viewers, male viewers here. Why do I say that? Kasi tayo mga babae, when we have a problem, for example, we do not hesitate to seek emotional, social support. So, di ba, marami tayong mga kaibigan that we go to, even in the office or, among our barkada. And we tell them about our problems that we face, not just at home, but also in the office. I'm not too sure mga lalaki, ganun ba, if they have a problem in the office, pupunta ba sila, well, siguro, no? Pupunta sila sa mga kaibigan na say, bro, siguro ganun, bro, mag-inuman tayo kasi may problema ako. Pero tayo women, it's very natural for us to go to our barkada or to our support group to ask for help.
Yung release, yung release talagang, hindi siya, usually hindi na-build up kasi nga i-release mo agad Magra-rant ka agad sa...
That's right.
Iiiyak mo na siya, parang ganyan. Tapos
mo siya, di ba? Iiyak mo siya at hindi tayo nahihiya. At saka, Carmel, this is also what I've noticed, that if women, for example, face a problem in the office, they do not hesitate to ask for help. Yung bang hindi nila sinasarili yung problema sa opisina. So they go to their boss or they go to their peers or their colleagues asking help on how to solve a problem or on how to do a job correctly. So that's asking.
Wow. So you mentioned kanina parang different, that's one coping strategy to really talk about it later. Please give us prepare a list of coping strategies, other techniques, diba, that we can parang pabaon natin sa ating viewers para naman, diba, makamove, parang if they do experience, different kinds of stress at work, meron silang mga possible ways of coping, diba, with the stress. But before we go there to the positive, sorry, dun muna tayo sa negative, diba? Talagang bumalik talaga Pero, ano ba yung mga signs, usual signs of stress at work, diba? Or signs and effects of stress at work.
Okay. There are two types of stress, Carmela. One is the acute stress and the chronic stress. Yung acute stress is just short term.
Okay.
So you're faced with the situation and that gives you and it makes you stressed, right? And then we also have what we call yung chronic stress. Ito yung long-term na araw-araw nararamdaman mo itong klaseng
Yeah.
stress na to.
Parang sakit chronic illness yung pumapasok sa isip ko when you say chronic stress, parang, yeah.
That's true. So when you say acute stress, ano yung related conditions? Like you talk of uneasiness, worry, you increase in energy, most especially if you're a type A person, and then there's alertness and excitement, or feeling of sadness. Ito naman yung negative feeling that you experience, loss of appetite, and increased metabolism. So yan yung acute stress, yung short-term stress. Now, if you talk of chronic stress, ito yung pangmatagalan. There are like physical and psychological illnesses that a person can experience, like you talk of high blood pressure, diabetes, irritability. Minsan it can even result to a person having cancer, di ba? Minsan,
so there really are physical
yes.
parang meron talagang physiological
Yes.
manifestation.
Yes,
Sakit talaga.
And then you also talk about anxiety and panic attacks, depression, and eating disturbances. So if you're not able to manage your stress, then this can be manifested as a physical or a psychological illness. So here we talk of not just ang nakikita ko kasi ngayon, Carmela rather, na dahil nga sa pandemic, marami sa atin because of stress, nagkakaroon ng mental health issue.
Yes.
Oo. So yun ang dapat natin bigyan ng pansin, yung mental health ng isang empleyado, ay ng isang tao.
Okay. Yeah, parang kailangan makatch agad no? Parang yun yung it can start out as minor stress or stressors, kunyari at work or at home. Tas yun pala, if hindi matugunan yun, posibleng bigla na lang, major na palang sakit yung mangyayari. So,
Tama yung Carmela, kasi ngayon nagtuturo ako at marami marami mga estudyante namin have mental health issues.
okay.
They cannot cope with the problems brought about by the pandemic. Kasi you now do online teaching and online learning na mahirap rin para sa aming mga teachers at sa aming mga estudyante.
Okay, so paano ba? Ito na. Yan, I just had to insert that kasi ito na yung sunod talaga na So paano nga? What are some ways of coping and managing all of these? Well, it can be the acute stressors or stress, and then the chronic. Hopefully, hindi na nga umabot sa chronic stress. Pero how do we manage? What are some of the practical or the usual, the common ones na sana makatulong, di ba? To alleviate, to lessen the stress of and when we talk about stress, yung negative stress, kasi kanina you mentioned na stress can actually be a challenge, something to motivate you. Hindi, not that. Yung, di ba, yung stress na mahihila ka pababa Yung stress na nakakapagod, yung stress na yun, nakakadulot ng mga sakit-sakit. Di ba? How do we manage these stresses?
Yeah, can I just share how I manage
yes, please.
My stress? Kasi I live alone in my condo, and when the pandemic came and we had to do online teaching, right? So sabi ko, I'm a digital migrant. In other words, bobo ako pagdating sa computer.
Learning pa lang.
Hindi bobo, sige, learning. So, how was I able to cope? Aside from, of course, my school teaching us or training us on how to how to teach online, I also had, practical things that helped me in coping with stress. One is I set boundaries. And this is also very important for employees. Kasi mas especially when we were working from home, right, or online, ang mga bosses natin kasi hindi, they are not very conscious about setting boundaries. So like they'd call their employees at 7 in the morning, or at
Hindi
midnight.
pa work time. Oo.
Oo.
Andyan na.
So, importante sa atin to set boundaries. So, if our work schedule is from 8 to 5 and we have a lunch break of 12 to 1, then we respect that. So, in my case, I tell my students, you can email me or you can chat with me from 8 in the morning and then from 5. So, after that, I will not entertain. Okay, so and then I also avoid toxic people. I also learn to say no. And then, to make sure that I have, excuse me, an outlet for my stress, I run. And I brisk walk, and I scuba dive. And
Sports.
yes, I scuba
Wow.
dive. And also, it also helps me when I do things for other people that makes me happy. So if I'm happy, then there's less stress for me. So therefore, I do have two volunteer organizations. One is kasi I dive, so I have this group of divers. We raise money by diving, and then the money that we were able to pool, we build classrooms in underserved areas in Philippines. And then second, I also do another volunteer group. We do missions, medical missions, but I'm not a doctor. So, but I joined them, and then we give assistance to the people in underserved areas and also to school children. So that's my way of coping. If we now translate this naman to the workplace, as what I've mentioned earlier, we have to set boundaries, and we employees, we should also learn how to say no to our bosses. Kasi if not, then that's, as what I've mentioned, that does not impact our physical health, but also our emotional and mental health. And I'm sure that in many offices, there are also a lot of mental issues. So it's very important also for companies to have a wellness program for their employees. And that would include seeking psychological help or counseling. So a company has to have that intervention for the employees.
For some, or actually for most companies, I think kasama na rin siya dun sa yung parang medical ano nila, 'di ba? They have that. Na parang
Yung
can avail
that's
of,
part of that's part of their
yeah.
medical or yes, medical program or benefit for their
So it's
employees.
not just the checkup of your physical, but also ito, yeah, checkup ka rin sa you get to meet with a psychologist or
Psychologist or
someone.
a counselor. It helps. Kaya yun ang when I do consulting for my clients, I tell them to come up with a total wellness program for the employees, and they shouldn't neglect the mental health of the employees. Yeah.
That's a good thing now that parang mas open na tayo eh, no? When we talk about yan mental health concerns, hindi
Mm-hmm.
na siya parang hush-hush issue. Dati kasi parang, hindi, wala lang yan, magdasal ka lang, or okay lang yan, malungkot ka lang, parang ganon, sasaya ka rin, o kain kang ice cream. Di ba parang ganon yung dati, parang nisa set aside. Nang now, it's really, I mean, I think also the pandemic helped na parang people became a bit more vocal about this, diba? Talking about even this sensitive issue. And yeah, people, a lot have really been coming out and seeking help. Di ba? May mga online or ano to, parang call a doctor type of consultation na nga during this time.
Oo, tama yun. So, hindi na stigma
So,
ngayon if you go for
yes,
counseling when you
yes.
have mental health issues. Yeah.
Kung kailangan, go. Parang ganun lang yun. Or kung sa tingin mo kailangan, di ba? Parang hindi mo kaya on your own. Kasi nga, you mentioned very good coping strategies, di ba? Hobbies, sports, nature, volunteering, doing outreach. Ang daming pwedeng gawin. Pero kung hindi pa rin talaga, it's best to really seek professional help.
Yes, that's right.
So, thank you for that. To end this episode, we would like to invite you po to read a message from Pope Francis. I think he said this back on November 3, 2021, so just last year, when he offered this special prayer intention. Ayan.
Again,
Pakibasa po, Ms.
yeah,
Marijo.
let us pray that people who suffer from depression, biglang nawala. Depression or burnout will find support and the light that opens them up to life. Overwork and work-related stress cause many people to experience extreme exhaustion, mental, emotional, affective, and physical exhaustion. Sadness, apathy, and spiritual tiredness end up dominating the lives of people who are overloaded due to the rhythm of life today. Let us try to be close to those who are exhausted, to those who are desperate without hope. And besides, let us not forget that along with the indispensable psychological counseling, which is useful and effective, Jesus' words also help. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Amen.
Thank you very much, Miss Marijo. If you got this far, thank you for watching. If you benefited from this episode, please give us a thumbs up. For comments on how we can improve or suggestions on what topics you would like us to cover, please type them in the comment box below. Please know that we read all of your comments. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.